don't take yourself so seriously. Take your job seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. I think that's a great piece of advice because I come in here to do the very best I can for the kids, but there's that time to, turn it off when I leave, have, that balance.
Welcome to SELINTalks, the podcast where we delve into the transformative world of education with those leading the charge. I'm your host, Shruti Verma, and today we have a truly inspiring guest, Dr. Justin Reynolds. Principal at GEMS Dubai American Academy, Dr. Reynolds is at the forefront of educational innovation, shaping the minds of young leaders with a focus on mental health and 21st century skills. Join us as we explore his journey, the innovative practices he's championing, and his vision for nurturing global citizens of tomorrow. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Justin Reynolds. Thank you for being part of SELINTalks. Thank you for taking out time to be here today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling great. I appreciate the invitation.
I'm glad. So before we start off with anything, we would really like to know that reflecting back on your journey, what were the key moments or decisions that led you where you are today?
Getting into education, I think I was a junior in high school, so 11th grade in high school, and had the opportunity to talk to grade 5 students about it was an anti-drug program. So we rolled that out to students, and had to do little activities and whatnot. And so that was kind of a realization for me that was like, oh, I really like working with children. So I tried. I did some teaching, shadow teaching the following semester, and just really loved it. Really loved seeing the impact that I was making. So that really started me on the career in education. I would say after that point, after teaching for a couple of years, I kind of fell into a leadership position as the head of department in the middle school. Somebody had left, and they needed somebody to fill it, so I kind of filled it, kind of thinking I was kind of a maybe a part-time thing or not a long-term, but I really enjoyed it, and so I continued on with department chair, and then got tapped to do some shadowing for admin at the district level, and got to help set up summer school programs, and just really I think there were just various things that have just come up, and it helped me see that I can make a bigger impact than where I was, and of course the closer you are to the classroom, the more profound of an impact I think you can have, because you have the one-to-one connections. But if you go up from classroom teacher to department chair to assistant principal to principal, you have a wider impact, I guess, on things, and you're able to support in a wider capacity. And I think that's what really drew me, to keep going, is to see the good that I can do on a wider scale, and help support the teachers and like the amazing work that they're doing in their classrooms every day. So I would say that those were kind of the pivotal moments that took me through my career and the trajectory.
Wow. You started off quite early to actually get the passion for teaching and, in education arena altogether. From all of these years, what is your leadership style like?
I think I really do think that I try to get all the opinions of the people at the table. So like a collaborative leader, I try not to make unilateral decisions. Obviously, sometimes you have to do that, but I think it's always best practice to like understand, if it's a decision about math, let's go to the math team and say, tell me your insights on this. If it's something that's going to impact the wider school community, bring parents in on the decision. Ask students, what are they feeling about the decision? Really just to make sure that we're getting all the different perspectives and the different angles, in order to make the very best decision possible. I think that's something that I think inherently I like to do. I like to seek, I I'm never going to get 100% consensus, but at least get a consensus from the group and able to move forward and give them voice in the situation.
Yeah, I think when we're standing at 21st century, collaboration is the key, and there is no other way around. And it's great that you have it for, like you said, it's so innate in your leadership. That's actually great to hear.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was just finishing up interviews just before this call, and like that's it, we have an interview team, like we do some
Right.
screeners, but it's always me and one of my colleagues. And whenever we go do a second round interview, it's always with the team plus, the head of department. We try to get the right people around the table, because I think, even if you do have different perspectives, that's a positive thing. If
Yes.
some people can see different strengths in the candidates maybe that I wasn't able to see. So I think that approach is very valuable. And just to be able to set up your team around that and just say this is the way that it's going to work. Not everybody's going to agree, but everybody at least has a voice, and their voice can be heard. So I think that's an important piece of the puzzle.
As an educational leader, we all know that innovation is key to 21st century skills with the students, with the educators. Can you describe one innovative approach you have implemented in your school and that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I mean, if we're thinking innovation, with the use of all the tools at our disposal, we're fortunate to we have what's called the Center of Excellence, and so there's a lot of work being done, like with robotics and things like that. So I think one of the cool things that we've done that's really made an impact with kids is using VR in a variety of different ways. So I guess a couple of good and recent examples are, kids, they're able to do, it was a physics experiment where they were changing the weight of their cars and changing the speed of their cars and changing the angle of the ramp just to try to get their cars to do different tasks. So having it was augmented reality, I guess, but using VR headsets to be able to modify their cars and do those things was a really cool experience, I think, for our kids, and something that they're able to take with them. We in grade 6 social studies, we had students, they were creating a timeline of events, and so they had to create a museum of sorts. So they would walk through a museum, they had to create the setup, and here's one picture that would depict something about their timeline and give facts about it or tell why it's relevant. So they created this whole visual space around this timeline, which is something that I haven't seen, but also something, again, that I think that the kids will take with them moving forward. So something just different and creative. And I think that's something that we really try to do here is it's, you can ask Alexa now, hey, what year was the Magna Carta signed? That it doesn't hold as much water as it once did. And so finding those ways to help the students be creative and innovative and make the learning meaningful to them, I think is what we're trying to do most. But that's just a couple examples as far as innovation goes.
It's actually very cool. I mean, I while you were telling me, I could imagine how that entire experiment could actually look like, and they were actually experiencing it. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it was neat. We were able to have it on a showcase where they would record it, and we put it up on our screens around the building just to show what they're doing in science class. So they're able so it's on display too. So it's like the visible learning, showing off for the teacher too. Say, hey, look what's happening in my class. Science is fun. Social studies is fun. But the kids really got a kick out of it, being able to see their cars, on the VR.
Doing things, pretty cool. Shifting our focus and our conversation towards mental health, a very critical aspect of education.
how do you integrate mental health awareness and support into your school's curriculum and culture, and not just for students, because obviously students are very, very big part of it, but for the students and the team that you have in your leadership?
Sure, great question. So I think this is something that's very important, and I think it was discussed, I think, a little bit before COVID, and people started to realize the importance. But I think post-COVID, it really hit a different level. And what we try to do is, there's only so much in a school that you can do. People still have to come to work, but it's really about being in tune with your staff and understanding, well, how can I support you? If a teacher's having a hard time, try to be empathetic, be sympathetic to the situation that they're in, and try to support them through that. And sometimes it's something. Sometimes, like, we take a trolley down the hallway, and we give them coffee, or we start off every faculty meeting with what we call scratch offs. So there's a little card that they get, and a stat, they recognize each other. So I could write it about anybody, or another teacher can write something positive about any other teacher on the staff, and it's something that we read out, and then on the front you scratch it off, and you win some sort of prize. Sometimes it's a jeans day, sometimes it's piece of candy, maybe it's a soda, maybe it's a coverage for a duty or a class. Just something small that acknowledges the fact that our teachers work hard, and they're probably under most pressure, I think, than we've ever seen teachers under before.
Yeah.
We have actually one thing that we did as a school, we trialed this year, is something that we called well-being days. So we have a bank of sick days, and in the past it's a sick day, like you have to be physically sick and then you can call off. But what we tried to do is say, okay, well, 3 times a year you get one day to say, you know what, I just need a day. And it doesn't matter what it's for, it kind of functions like a personal day. Maybe you just need to get stuff done around the house. You can take one of these well-being days, and they went over really, really well, because staff they felt like they could just take a day, and they weren't going to be harped on or questioned about it, and it's a day to themselves. And I think that was really a powerful message that we sent to the staff, letting them know that, hey, we know that your job is difficult. Let's make it a little bit easier for you so that you don't experience the burnout. So that's one thing that I think it went really well, and hopefully we can move forward with it in the future.
Those who are actually aspiring to follow your footsteps, who are listening to this podcast, who will be listening to this podcast in education leadership, could you share one piece of advice or guiding principle that has been pivotal in your career journey?
So, any decision that we make, we really try to put kids in the center and really try to look at it through the perspective of the child. And so, it doesn't matter if we're gonna look at scheduling classes for the following year, or what courses should we even offer? Should we use locker? How are our lockers being used? How are our classrooms set up? All those things we get input from our kids on, because it's their experience. And I would say that's one of the reasons why our kids love being here. We have in an international school, our kids don't leave. They really love the experience, not just the middle school, but our whole campus. We really value student voice, student choice. And I would say, I guess, as a leader, 2 things on that. The first thing would be to stay authentic to yourself. There are a lot of competing priorities that are always out there, wanting your attention, wanting you to do this, wanting you to do that. Do your due diligence and stay true to yourself and true to your values. You'll always sleep better at night, I think, if you are able to do that. And like my wife tells me, don't take yourself so seriously. Take your job seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. So I think that's a great piece of advice, because I come in here to do the very best I can for the kids, but there's that time to, turn it off when I leave, have, that balance with my family and, be silly, be goofy, be dad, be genuine, so I would say that balance is also helped really carry me through, the years that I've had, not just in Dubai, but also in the US as principal.
Right. That's actually very nice advice. I think it should be for everybody, not just educators. So I really like the don't take yourself seriously, but your job seriously. I think that is something that a lot of people really need to indulge also. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience in terms of leadership, in terms of 21st century skills, mental health, anything?
Best thing is to get a really good team around you, somebody who has the same priority as you do, the same values, and let those different perspectives work in the room, and you're going to come out with some really good outcomes if you're able to do that. I think that's been our success here at where I work. Again, not just me in the middle school, but for the elementary, for the high school, it's been a really positive formula, and very fortunate. You're going to have people that love working for you, kids that love to come to the school. So I think that's a huge part of the success.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being our guest. This was really nice.
Oh, good. I enjoyed my time, and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.